Gender parity is properly mainstreamed. Women are given opportunities to deal with their matters, but they don't take it seriously.
So speaking on that, first of all, I'll mention about entitlement. Entitlement is coming out in that character or context of he feels that department should belong to a man, which is very wrong. Instead, they would have said, it's better we have a fresh blood, something new. Because look at it, all these people have been there on our screens as we grew up. Now we are adults, we're still seeing them there. What has changed? So we need new brains out there. I saw in the editors where this lady from Citizen, I can't, even Okwara, they're now like fighting, not fighting, that they're vying for Editors Guild. Something that has not happened in a quite long time. Something that is new. This is what I call fresh blood. You can see the LSK president for the first time is a lady. Why? Because these are male-dominated, according to them, fields. This is where they feel, you know, this notion where a woman can do what a man can do better, but the woman does it better. It's the same as two heads are better than one. And then I'll bring it back to the Bible context. God created a woman as a helper. But for them, they take it, your work is house. It's not in the field. Yours is to take care of the children, tend to the house, take care of his needs, but not bringing something different in the house.
The cultural
That's why you find most or some, I'll call them chauvinists again, are intimidated by women in power. For example, you might find a marriage setup where a woman is earning more than the man. But this man will come out in the name of, she does not respect me anymore. She feels that because she's earning, that's a thought. It's not what is actually happening, but it's a thought. She feels because she's earning more than I am, she can come at home late. That we are supposed to split in responsibilities in the house. But when it's them who are earning more than the woman, it's not a problem. So it's a mindset. It's like, I think it's a switch that people need to kill.
Okay, hold that thought. I want to bring you Nyasaina on this, and there's something that Junet here said, and I want your input on it. Women are given opportunities to deal with their matters, but they don't take it seriously. Is that true?
Absolutely not. I really do believe that that is coming from like a victim-blaming mindset, that women are given the ability to deal with their matters, but they do not. I really do not agree with that. And the reasons why I do not agree with that, I'll actually give you some examples of why I do not agree with that. I think that a lot of the times in society, it takes collective effort to achieve something, right? But if you give someone the opportunity to do something and you keep undermining them, then they're not going to be able to stand up, rise up, and achieve what they need to do. I'll talk about some things that women have been able to do in the past. Wangari Maathai, Professor Wangari Maathai has been an incredible trailblazer in the environmental field. And a lot of the times people think, oh, the environment is just about planting trees. It's more than that. The trees give us the oxygen that we need to breathe, right? Wangari Maathai, although she was undermined, underplayed, abducted and just brutalized, she was able to garner the strength of young people specifically to save the forest, to save Karura Forest, and to advocate for a greener Kenya. Now, granted, her movement, the Green Belt movement, has gone beyond Kenya. It's an internationally recognized movement, right? She won a Nobel Peace Prize and has inspired people across the globe to take care of our planet. Do you really call that not being able to manage your own issues?
No.
That's a rhetorical question. But I think even on a closer level, I have seen a lot of women, young women like myself, this wonderful woman, her name is Grace Kiarie. She went all the way to Laikipia County. We always see the stories on the news of how girls are having to go and fetch water, right? In 2024, they have to go fetch water and drink the same water that wild animals are drinking. This is in 2024 Kenya.
Over 60 years after independence.
That's a lot of injustice that is being faced on multiple levels. These girls don't get the right to an education. They don't get the right to safety. And in addition to that, there's a lot of period poverty that's being faced in these locations, right? But Miss Grace Kiarie went to these locations and she's like, you know what, I don't want to hear it from the news. I want to go there myself and see what I can do for these communities. And she went ahead and she was able to garner a lot of resources to try and support these young women, right? A role that the people in society, the leaders in society are supposed to be taking. So in many ways, I do think that women, although they are underplayed in a massively patriarchal society, we have a lot of power to lead a lot of significant change, whether it's big or small. So I do not agree with that sentiment.
All right, and that is, speaking of patriarchal, that is another sentiment that we are going to talk about, but for you who is watching, you can be part of this conversation by sending us your WhatsApp message on 0716 10 33 01. 0716 10 33 01, and rest assured we shall sample some of your text at the tail end of the program. Let me, Deborah, talking about patriarchy, how do you think cultural and patriarchal norms have shaped women leadership in the country?
Yeah, thank you again, Mike. Cultural norms and patriarchal systems have really played a very deep role. And let me just even begin from the family level.
Yeah.
When we are really growing up, we have a setup of an ideal family whereby the father, the mother, the children are there.
Yeah.
And what is really passed to us is that the father is the sayer in the family. Like the father is the breadwinner in the family. Like the father is the decision maker. And I can even take to the context whereby in each and every single moment that we need to make even decisions in the family, you find the father being the one making without even consulting the female or maybe even the mother. Like for example, in my family, wherever maybe my father wants to sell a land, you find at the end of the day, we are not even consulted as children. We are not even consulted as women. These are the resources that are going to affect us in terms of if the land is going to be diminished, you are going to be vulnerable to poverty issues. Yeah. So the cultural issues have really played a very big role, whereby we are told that women are not in a position to contribute. And for example, I can as well also give the competing roles of the female.
Yeah.
We've been told that we are the child bearers. We are supposed to be taking care of the homes. We are supposed to be taking care of the children. And at the end of the day, at the expense whereby now the male are outside there contributing to the societal leadership roles. Like for example, even if you go to the barasas, I can give a context in Bomet, whereby you find if a chief calls for a barasa in terms of even what we call right now the public participation.
Yes.
Whereby people need to come and give out their views. 70%, 80% are male, or they are men who are giving out their views in terms of how do we go about issues of clean water, how do we go about issues of education, how do we go about issues of health. And I have even bringing it now in the context, who really, I'm not saying the male are not using maybe, for example, the water aspect in the house. As women come in touch with water each and every single moment, when we wake up, we are the one washing the kids, we are the one cooking, we are the ones like preparing lunch. And at the end of the day, you find male are the ones who are being given first priority to give the context on how we can access clean water, whereas the voices that really matter, who are the female or now the women, they are missing in that opportunity. And so what are we really talking about? When you are talking about sustainable development, goals in the society, it really begins from the community level. This is whereby everybody and every voice really matter, and not even saying that women needs to be given that opportunity to come in past. Remember, we are 50-50% in terms of population. Why are we leaving the bigger 50% to be silenced in terms of their voices? We really need to have equal opportunities.
Is there fear for young ladies who want to rise to these leadership positions? Is there fear that holds them back to rise up to this position?
Yes, definitely.
Where is it coming from?
If we talk even in the context of politics,
yes.
let me say, I think all of us, we are aware of the violence against women in politics. First, number one, as a woman, even right now, if I say I want to maybe vie for a position, I need to think in terms of money, finances. Where am I going to finance this? Remember, we've been suppressed in terms of owning property. We are not even accessing the credit that we really need to have. We are already not empowered because the patriarchal nature do not allow women to own land. You're being told that you go get married, go own your property somewhere else. Yeah. And wherever you are reaching the other end, you are also like kind of a visitor. You're going to conform also to those issues that are on the other end of the side. So number one is issues of finances. Number two, if you come, there have been like suppressing when I talk about the violence against women in politics. This is whereby we are being sexually harassed. Not, it can be physically, it can be online. So whenever you even express yourself that I want to run, everybody wants to dig and understand, who is this Deborah? Is she married? Does she have kids? Does she have a husband? Yeah. Like all those things that we really need to answer. Even Mike, if right now you stand there and I stand there and I want to declare that I want to run for, the many questions that I need to ask myself are 1,000 plus. Compared to you, that you can just stand and say, I'm Mike and I'm from maybe Kirinyaga, I want to vie. Yes. Nobody will really even bother. Do you have a house? If that is enough. But for me, if I stand, there is a lot now that your stereotypes of you are too young, you are not ready for this, are you able even to take care of a husband? Those are very minor things. And I usually say, if we really change the perspective of seeing women in terms of leadership from neck to, and above, and not really seeing neck below. And that is what I'm trying to say. Let's see in terms of what perspectives are we bringing on board. What are the things that are we really contributing in terms of ideologies, in terms of perspectives. And now, maybe also talking about it, the statistic shows that 53% of women who are running for these political seats, they are online facing harassment. And however, 43, they have actually come in contact even with sexual harassment. So meaning, for you to maybe conform or maybe to be able to run to these positions, at the end of the day, someone or a man needs to fund you at the favor of something, at the exchange of something. And you find like some of us now, they are like suppressing. However, maybe even when your values are leading you, you cannot maybe accept to maybe go to that compromising situation. However, you can shield your position. And some of us, even we've not been able to get that opportunity for running for elective, rather than we just fall back and wait for nominations. Nomination also have its own political saga within, because at the end of the day, who are you? What are you bringing on the table? Exactly. So those are the things that we really need to ask ourselves.
You know, Brenda, taking on what she has said, is there too many expectations on the part of the ladies that are rising to those leadership positions? And that is a question that you're going to answer once we come from this short break. Stay with us.
Father, you will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will call his name Jesus.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has chosen me to bring good news to the poor.
Not my will, however yours.
I understand that many have already hailed him as king.
Is it with a kiss that you betray the Son of Man?
Then take this cup from me. Not my will, however yours. Yours be done.
Are you the king of the Jews?
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tumejikita mizizi hapa Mathare, ambapo tumejitosa katika kilimo cha mboga na pia ufugaji wa mbuzi wa maziwa.
After high school unapata hakuna opportunities hapa nje. Enroll kwa colleges, mkitoka bado mnaangaliana hapa nje. So nakumbuka hiyo wakati tukiwa bado si wachanga, rais yule alikuwa wakati huo na alikuwa anahimiza kwamba vijana waweze create opportunities au wenyewe nao serikali itakuja kusupport. So hizo ndio ideas zenye tulika chini tukaona wacha tukue na kitu yetu yenye itatupeleka to the next level badala kutegemea saa yote tukililia serikali.
Usikose kujumuika nasi siku ya Jumamosi saa 10:30 upate uhondo kamili.
We are joined by pastors' wives who are going to share their stories.
Here I am, 20 years down the line, a pastor's wife.
Along the way, he became a pastor. But when we began together, he was not a pastor.
In the year we were dating, Marvin became a pastor.
There's a big misconception that a pastor's wife should have wigs.
I had so much pressure on how do you dress up, how do you, and it was very depressing.
I fell into the trap of trying to fit into people's expectations.
Sometimes we think we are very ready for it, but actually we are not ready.
You cannot do marriage alone. You have to have people who you're looking up to.
You have to adjust as the time goes by.
Yes.
When things are thick, you also look for help.
Why are you looking for Dad?
Miss your Duanzi, Miss your Fala.
Get out!
I received a text in the middle of the night.
That girl likes getting herself into danger.
But I thought your motherly instinct spoke last night.
Wait.
Let me help you with that.
Where is Alice, by the way?
She went...
You are all useless! Actually, I was waiting for you.
May I know why?
Mambo ya Sharia.
Maybe now we can talk.
The segment is youth and governance, and today we are looking at empowerment of young women leaders into leadership. And the number to forward your message is 0716103301. And I have a message. They have not indicated their name, but I'll read it. I'm in full support of women empowerment. But don't you think we are slightly sidelining the boy child in today's society? That he is in a self-sufficient, well-treated and secure space, while in general, both young boys and girls are in fact facing pretty more similar challenges. Let us support girls, but also boys / men. Water, leadership, these are things that should not be treated from a gender perspective, but rather from a national or societal change. Keep your messages coming and we shall read them as we continue with the program. Now, Brenda, before we went on a break, is something I asked, pegging on what she had said. And is there too many expectations on the side of ladies or young ladies who want to rise to leadership positions?
To my end, yes. Because as she had mentioned, if you, Mike, came out and said, I want to vie for a position in the government, maybe I want to vie for a governor, you wouldn't face so much questions compared to a woman. I want us to take back to when one of an MP in Kajiado County had invited members of parliament in her home. Her husband went and was interviewed and asked, who gave her permission to invite people into my homestead? Now, I tend to wonder, you know, marriage institution is a very sacred thing, yeah? Because it's a union of two different people coming together to create another different lineage. So when you come and say that, who gave you permission to bring in people to my home? That question is quite ambiguous, yeah? Because I'm part of that home.
Yes.
I'm part of what is making this house a home. I'm part of why you're being called a father, because of the, you know, what a woman goes through, the 9 months, conceiving, childbearing, and even raising up a child to where they are. Because, for an example, no offense, most men, like, let's say men in service, they come home, they do their thing, a woman is pregnant, and they're deployed. Now, who is in the home?
The woman.
Who takes care of the child? Childbirth, raising of the child, ensuring the home runs. And then I tend to wonder, if I can run a home, the bills, the children, I make sure my husband is ready for tomorrow's job. His is to sit. Where are my clothes? Where is my socks? Where is my food? Where is, you know, every question is directed to the woman. Are you not cooking? But then when it comes to leadership and power, they tend to ask, are you competent? What are you bringing to the table? But if it's a man coming in, just because of the masculinity in him, they won't have questions. Yeah, this one is. So that's why we're having a lot of challenges for women coming into power. And for those in power, for me, I feel there are some who are very relaxed in what they're doing. It's like they forgot the cry of a woman. And when they say the boy child is being neglected, I'll ask a very, very simple question. Sanitary towels, how much? What about, I'll just use this one, the condoms, how much? 10 shillings. Compared to 65, 85. In fact, sanitary towels prices always increase by the day. And then they forget, this thing is natural. It's not intentional that a woman has to go through this every month. And a bonus to it, we end up hearing cases of endometriosis, and nobody talks about that. Because the treatment methods to ensure you get back well, the fibroids and all that, is all connected to our how God created us. But talking about sex, it's an optional thing. You can't die without sex. But a woman, if she doesn't receive her periods on time, there's a problem. You have to visit the gynecologist. But if a man fails to have sex, you won't hear cases of a man died because reportedly he didn't have sex for 6 months. But if I, a woman, mess myself, for example, I just mess myself here, there'll be disgust because it's noted that periods is dirty, but it isn't. It's natural.
So that just points out to what you would say are the expectations that are placed on ladies when it comes to these things. But Nyasaina, we have young leaders in various leadership positions, be it political or in the corporate world. But when it comes to leadership, how do you think they have fared so far?
How do I think young people have fared so far?
The young women leaders who are in leadership positions.
Yeah.
How do you think they have fared so far?
Okay, I think that there are definitely different categories on how you can rate the success of a woman in a position of power in leadership. I'm going to start from my level where I am, being a startup international nonprofit that focuses on environmental education. And I've gotten the opportunity to come across a lot of many young women leaders who have groups of 30, groups of 60, and they are significantly pioneering change, right? I really do believe that young people as a whole, early 20s, we are observers of society, right? We get to sit back for 10 years and say, this is what's happening in my community. And when we get to our 20s, it's like, now I have a voice. Now I can attempt to speak up and I can drive some change in whatever capacity that I can, right? And I really do believe that there's a lot of women who are doing significantly amazing things in that category. Now, when it comes to political positions or positions in the government, I think that there are two sectors, right? I think that a woman can lead change in a quiet way, right? In the back door. Significant change, which I've seen a lot of women do. Very proud and very happy that they are the women who have not lost sight of what it means to be a leader and pioneer change that they believe in, right? So there are many women in our society and in our community in positions of power that are leading significant change, but it's quiet change. And I think that quiet change is the most important. There are also women in our communities who, like Deborah has said, are they've forgotten. They're very lax, very complacent, very happy with where they are. And I think that they are doing a significant disservice to our community. And it's definitely something that we need to talk about. But in many ways, I hear the question that was asked by one of our audience members.
He's saying,
what does...
He's saying, let us support girls. I'm just reading the last part of the message. Let us support girls, but also boys. Leadership, what are leadership? These are the things that, these things should not be treated from a gender perspective, but rather from a national or societal angle.
Okay, I'm going to assume that that is a male speaking. And is he pioneering the first part of his sentence? Let us support girls, right? That was the first thing on his conscious mind. But is a contradictory,
yes,
right? I do think that many times things go hand in hand. So what does allyship in the gender space look like? And yes, gender does matter. Gender is important in the same way that race is important, in the same way that people living in rural communities / urban communities, that intersection is important, in the same way that people with disabilities and people who do not have disabilities have different fragmented issues and privileges in society. So if there is a natural divide that is existing, we must not assume that it shouldn't be considered in leadership, because it must. It absolutely must.
Yes. Deborah, you know, the perception of leadership for ladies, how do we shift the mindset to ensure that even the young ladies who are rising to these positions, that people can trust their leadership, they have what it takes? How do we shift that mindset?
Yeah, Mike, that's really a critical aspect to really discuss. And just to put in context, or just to say, I want us first of all to shift from the male versus women thing. Like, I really need to just, like, let's not put like the female are being empowered more than the boys, or we are being given opportunities more than these other people. But however, when it comes to leadership, first of all, we need to understand what is really leadership. Because I think we've really made the political leadership, the way she was saying, we have other people in other spheres doing really amazing, the silent one, like the CSO network, the people who are leading very small organizations, they are really doing a lot of work and impactful. But we've now like narrowed leadership to really come to these bigger positions of being an MP, being an MCA, being a women rep. And it has been made to look very lucrative, whereby people really go to this position, not because of the leadership values that they own. Like, are they, even for you, before you say, I want to run for a leadership position, you need to ask yourself, am I a value-based leader? Like, am I an ethical person? Like, do I have the really good agenda to come and bring the change? So I think when we talk about shifting the mindset, let's really also look back and say, what value are we really bringing to the table, so that the male do not see us like, yes, we've been given these positions, but we are not maximizing the way we ought to have been using it. Because at the end of the day, and I go back to how also the election, the few that have gotten the opportunity to come forward, how do we really retain the momentum to show that we are pushing the issues of both genders, and not to look like we are really speaking about women alone? And it brings me to now, like, even the people that are getting the nomination positions, you find them, they are very many, but they are very silent. Because of what? They have gone there without any agenda. They are not even in touch in community. And you find most of the time, I will be talking about the counties. For example, you find a women rep, everybody is touching on them like, you are not doing for us this, you are not doing for us this. But we have several other nominated people who are not accountable. I have also the accessing the resources that all of us, we are looking up to. They are being given the revenue share. What are they really doing in the community? Do they even have the vision of changing that community? So before even we speak about like changing the perspective, first of all, as women, let's ask ourselves, when you're going to occupy that position, what value are you bringing in? What change do you want to see? What perspective in terms of contributing to policies do you want to see? And I think when it comes to now, like the leadership, I really also want us to shift from the urban area. Right now, we are sitting in Nairobi. Someone in Bomet, in Danai, in a village, a girl who is there, will never access this opportunity, leave alone even accessing the opportunity. Even the confidence and the content to come and speak here is totally a challenge. So I think for me, before even we talk about it, let's not leave the 80% people in rural areas, the women who really matter. The women who really need to contribute. So many times we are in boardrooms, we are in conferences, speaking big, signing policies, that even like the 80% a woman in the interior part of it doesn't even understand what a women empowerment issue is. Are we really doing justice when you talk about changing the perspective of leadership in women? Because at the end of the day, we might come to the national level, to the cities, and talk about the few people, which are not even more than 10%, while we are leaving a girl who is still like missing the basic needs of the parts in the school, who are still trekking, who are still being beaten, who are still not even understanding their human rights, what it is. So let's shift the focus from this other side and really focus on what really matter. And because I want even now to speak about the devolution part of it. The reason why we adapted the devolution through our Constitution 2010 was to take more opportunities closer to the people. But how are we utilizing that thing? Because at the end of the day, the cartels have come to the county. People are electing and appointing their girlfriends, sorry to say so, their relatives. You find like an office, a department, it's being run by a father, a relative, a nephew, a niece, and they are really totally doing nothing. And at the end of the day, I'm asking myself again, when we are being given this opportunity, do we have the real values that needs us to lead? Are we really like people that have ethical in terms of even holding that office? Let's not take our leadership or maybe our positions to be something that it's going to give us a breakthrough in terms of economical gain. But let's go back and really rethink and say, if Deborah right now, I'm given an opportunity to lead women, maybe as a woman representative in Bomet County, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to use my mentorship network to really bring a change in my community?
That is perfect food for thought. And there's a viewer here by the name Maria. She's saying women are put in a cage because they are perceived in a marginalized manner, and when you deviate from the marginalized normal, then you as a woman is punished or criminalized for it through verbal, physical, and psychological abuse. How can we change this marginalized perception? Brenda?
So in regards to that, I'm just taking aback with the thoughts I'm having right now. And I've had several conversations where men are, for example, I've had the opportunity to be part of what we call Bunge la Mwananchi here in Nairobi. It's normally at Jivanji Gardens. So when you walk there, as a woman, what you meet first is men, a very large crowd of men. And when you're given the opportunity to listen, you'll hear some murmuring, what is this woman saying? What does she know about politics? Because they're trying to bring this notion that, as I was saying earlier, a woman is to be confined at home and not out there bringing input to the society.
But should that go into the head of the young woman that wants to
Actually, no.
speak?
You should be defiant. If I may so speak, I'm very always outspoken. I always believe the only person who can shut me down is God. Why? Because normally previously, for example, in my family setup, I've told you we have men. My dad being the firstborn in his family, and you remember these old age families, I call them old age because there are different generations in my family. We are blessed to have a Gen Z in the house. She's very defiant. As we see them, you know, she's the only person who can tell my dad. I said no. But as the millennials, how we were raised, it was, dad gives an order, you respect it. Till I tried to come out of it and told myself, no, you know, at times you're being forced to do some things because you're being put down that, no, you're not supposed to talk. For example, I'm very privileged to say my great-grandfather on my mom's side gave my grandmother a piece of land. She was the only girl amongst 3 men. But the brothers now, after the dad died, tried to, like, you know, suppress her. Women are not supposed to, like, get entitlement to land and what have you. But the good thing is that she took it to court and she won. Then they came up with another strategy that since you went to court and the court said we should divide this land equally, they took her to a point where there's no road access. It's near the river. So at the end of the day, give it 10 to 5 years, this river will eat up her side of the land, which is not supposed to be the case. And again, she took them to court. So long story short, women are not supposed to, like, keep quiet. That is one. It is your obligation, it is your duty to help the society heal and progress. Because I always believe a girl educated or a child educated, because boy or girl, we are all in class. Performance is according to this child, individually. Because a teacher cannot say, number 1 was a boy, but we decided to put number 2 as a girl. It's performance based. And so far we have seen women coming out top, as Kwamboka had mentioned, top in their classes. Why? Because they believe in themselves. If they only conformed to what the society says, that a woman cannot do it, a woman cannot say this, then we will be far. Take an example of this honorable member. In parliament, she's very vocal. Don't mess with her. Don't say anything that is not meant for her. She'll put you down and tell you, no, I don't believe in that. That's how things are supposed to be, but in a dignified manner. Because when a woman, you know, we don't have the physical strength to fight men. Let's just say that. We don't have that physical strength. But I believe we try to bring that strength through our brains. We think harder, we think smarter. And the only thing that now we women are being put up to is this question of capability, which should break. Because no one is incapable. Even if I'm incapable, it doesn't mean thinking-wise, I am not capable to reason. That's why you see, before you get a driving license, you're asked to do a road test with your instructor. If they find you're not able, you're to redo it again and again till you're qualified. So it's not a privilege. As I was mentioning earlier, I was advantaged to be a director of 2 different very good positions. 1, director of public relations, and 2, director of international relations with an international organization. And on the table, we were only few, like 2 ladies, 2 to 3. And these positions, to the men who we were with, they felt it's like a privilege. It's because they felt they deserved it than we did. But in real sense, when you go to performance again, you'll find the performance is top-notch. Take an example. If I become drunkard and disorderly, they'll say she lacks character. But if a man is drunkard and disorderly, they won't even try to sugarcoat it. In fact, they'll just turn a blind eye. It's normal. He's going through some things at home. It must be the wife. All right.
Let me sample some messages that have come in. Manibu Job Wakoli from Bugoma. Currently, where we stand, women can do it much better than men if given full support. They should come out in strong forces and demand and defend what is theirs. Once, Margaret Thatcher said, what a man can do, a woman can do it better. Someone else is asking, what is the main role of women leadership in our society? Should women leadership be accepted from some roles in our society? That is Elijah Okwema. If Nyasaina, you can maybe say a word to that. What is the main role of women leadership in our society? Should women leadership be accepted? That is what he has written, from some roles in our society.
Accepted.
I think he meant exempted.
Yes. Oh, exempted.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for asking that question. I truly believe that in society there are empowered and disempowered individuals and groups. And so women as a whole, as a gender, they are a part of the disenfranchised groups, which is probably 50% of the entire population.
Yes.
So if you say that you don't want the representation of 50% of the entire population, then how are you going to run a nation? Question mark. Ask yourself, how will you run that nation? If you have, let's say, 40% of the 50%, then that will help you raise your community. And in many ways, I think it's really important to think about the economic growth.
Yes.
Right? Everything's about money in this world, right? So do you really only want to have 50% of income to your community as opposed to 100% of income? You want that 100%. Therefore, you want that 100% involvement. I really, truly believe that any mind, as it was created by God, is capable of achieving progress and growth in any society, including women.
Now, we have like 3 minutes, and I want to give you each enough time to give your closing remarks as we end this segment. And I will begin with Deborah. Your closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Mike, also for having us. And my closing remarks is that every voice matters, women voices matter, and we really need to have a good strategy to have them on board. So the way Kasaina is saying that if we leave the other segment, that is 50%, what are we really going to achieve? And I want to put even a more question or a compliment to referring to the G7. You remember that in 2013, you had 3 elected governors. In 2017, we went to 8. However, we had a strategy that we were targeting 24. So it is a big question for us now, like, how are the women in leadership empowering or mentoring other women in the ground? So can we really do like intergenerational mentorship program? Can we actually embrace peer-to-peer mentorship? Can we also now shift the mentorship to the rural area so that all of us can be in one basket, speak one voice, and have a common goal of bringing women in leadership.
All right, Brenda.
So for me, I'll just urge the society as large, because if one or two are gathered, not only in the Bible that Christ is with them, but I think progress is there. So men should not take it, or the society should not take it that a woman is a threat. Instead, they should take it that a woman is a person who will come in to bring in more benefit to the society, because they look at it at a wide range. For example, we should not only focus on progress, but we should also focus on empowering the girl child as well as the boy child.
All right.
Yes.
Yasaina.
Okay. I would say, I would give an analogy. So society and leadership as a whole is a lake, Lake Victoria or Lake Nalubali. We have Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya contributing to this lake. If Uganda side is polluting the lake, Kenyans are going to be upset and say, hey, can we help you to stop polluting this lake? Here are some resources that we have that we could help you. Or, oh my goodness, Tanzania, you guys are doing very well with your biodiversity in the lake. How can we learn from that? And how can we work together to ensure that our lake is sustainable and it will help the future generations? I really, truly believe, like Deborah and Brenda, that it all takes collective effort to try and make a change. And that is what I advocate for with the African Environmental Youth Advisory. Again, we are observers of society and observers of what has happened on our land. So that intergenerational collaboration, intersectional collaboration is something that is incredibly important, and we should all pioneer for, because it also disempowers women in climate. But we're going to make a change very soon.
Ladies, I appreciate your time for coming and talking about this topic. And it's a topic that is continuous because young women are rising to these leadership positions, and as we go along, we shall see the change that they will bring. Asante sana to Nyasaina Kwamboka, who is the founder and CEO of the African Environmental Youth Advisory. Also, Ms. Deborah Towet, who is the founder of Safe Steps Foundation, and also Brenda Tom Atieno, who is a selfless human rights defender, conflict analyst, communications officer, and a media guru. And thanks to you for tuning in and sending in your comments. This is where we end this segment. Entertainment Thursday continues shortly with Vivian Ndego. My name is Mike Migwe. Keep it right here. Good morning.